Hey guys, I know you might be down with this whole virus thing, but I'm going to give you 10 really awesome RPGs on the cheap that you can get from the Nintendo Switch that'll give you hours of playtime without spending money. You can get it on the eShops. You don't even got to leave your house, and this is going to take care of you while you're stuck at home. Starting at number 10, Noir Legends. Now, this is a little indie game that not a lot of people are talking about, but that basically what this is a Link to the Past, but new. Okay, this is a indie developer. They've made a whole new story. It looks and plays very similar to A Link to the Past, and if you like that game at all, this is going to be right up your alley. Okay, it's an action RPG, old school, right, where you run around with your sword. You got a couple of different moves, you get a bunch of different items, some abilities, some different things to go, and you play through these different set pieces with a good variety of enemies. It is fun. It is pretty quick and fast paced. This isn't the longest one on the list, especially if you're good at the game. You can clip through it pretty well, but it is a good solid game. It's super fun, and if you have nostalgia for those older games and maybe you already beat A Link to the Past on the SNES app or whatever, then I recommend give this one a try. You won't regret it. It's super fun and enjoyable, and yeah, you'll like it. Number 9 is Child of Light, the Ultimate Edition from Ubisoft. Okay, now look, Child of Light is one of the rare things from Ubisoft that we want to support, right? So much of the news about Ubisoft is the range of how they go the same game over and over. Ghost Recon, they reuse the assets or whatever, or Assassin's Creed, how it just seems to be so similar, one game after the other. Child of Light, they made almost like indie. I mean, this is a fascinating, story-driven, turn-based RPG. Right, this game is fun. It's enjoyable. It's not, again, super long, but it's long enough to give a good taste. The Ultimate Edition brings a whole bunch extra with it. Right, there's a lot to engage with, and the story is really impactful and interesting. The gameplay starts off kind of basic, but turns into something unique and special to the game all its own, and it's a really good experience. It's one I highly recommend you try, and for right now on the eShop, it is like $4.50. I mean, this is dirt cheap, so I highly recommend. You might even have enough gold coins if you buy games very often on the eShop. You might already have enough to go get yourself some more. So go get Child of Light, even if you're going to get another game on this list, because it's cheap and well worth it. All right, next up, this is one of a couple of ideas from Square Enix. Right now, Square Enix has a sale on the eShop going through this month. Okay, and it's a good sale. There's a couple of games on there I'd recommend that don't quite hit the $20 threshold for cheap games, but there's a lot of good ones, so I recommend you check out that sale. And on that, one of these games that came out recently is Star Ocean First Departure R. Now, this is a remake of a remake, right? This game came out way back, and then it was remade at one point, and now it's been remade again. But they add extra content, they add new character portraits, new voice acting, they update the music. The way these Star Ocean games work, if you haven't played one before, you run around normal, almost like an action RPG, but when you get into battle, you think Tales like, if you've ever played a Tales of game, you run around attacking and fighting people, and it is great. It's super fun. You have a lot of minute control over your character builds, right? So that while the combat maybe seems kind of basic, it becomes not basic as you meticulously control all of the little stats and their abilities, right? Because everything, we're not talking just combat abilities, we're talking maybe cooking, or you want someone to be able to, make things for your characters. Maybe they upgrade armor or something. Okay, these are all abilities, and you have a ton to pick from. As you level up and as you fight, you earn these numbers, right? And then you can put into each different thing, and it's really tight, tons and tons of control. And so if that's not your thing, this probably isn't the game for you. But if you like having super meticulous control over how your character is built and put together, this is going to be a game for you. It is super engaging that way. The rest of it I thought was okay. The story was fine, but being able to build and spec out your characters exactly how you want is super enjoyable. In fact, for me, just grinding is enjoyable for that reason alone. Next up, number 7, Collection of Mana. Okay, we're talking about kind of these old school RPGs, and this is a trio of them. It's Final Fantasy Adventure, Secret of Mana, and then Seiken Densetsu 3. Okay, now, Seiken Densetsu 3 wasn't released here, right? This wasn't a Western RPG. It was only in Japan, and now this is the first time it's been officially localized and brought over here. Okay, now yes, we are getting a full remake, Trials of Mana, that's coming out towards the end of April, but again, that's a full $50, and that's not till the end of April. We gotta make it a month and a half to get there first. So I offer you this trilogy. Okay, the 3 games in one, the Collection of Mana. It's old school games. Now these are not the updated, these are not the remade ones. These are the old school ones, but they offer a lot of charm. They're really fun. None of them are super long. You're probably talking 20 hours each, but they're fun. They're fun and they're engaging. The stories are charming. The style, the action RPG, it's a little different. It is action, but it's got a little bit of turn-based styling in there. And you'll see how that works is when you hit, then you got to kind of wait for your stamina meter, I guess you could say, come back up to full before you attack again, or if you don't, then your attacks will be super weak, right? Things like, it's a fun story, engaging. They got good bosses, good music, and again, for $20, this couple of games all together in this collection, well worth the price. Next up, number 6 is For the King. For the King is a really interesting kind of indie style RPG where it's like it's a digital board game, right? And so as you attack the enemy seems at first like a traditional turn-based RPG, but it's more like you're playing D&D. You've got rolls and there's a chance system for different weapons, right? So if you have 5 chances, roll 5 times, and if you get some, you'll get an attack. You miss them all. Now, some people love that, some people are going to hate that. this way. The chance system, the rolling for things, and then the going through the board game style is awesome. It's super different, it's really unique, and it's super fun. And so yeah, so if that sounds interesting to you, something like that, like a digital board game with that amount of chance and possibility, it sounds good to you, I highly recommend it. It is fun. The RNG is not killer. It's enjoyable and fun. And so I recommend you go try that out. Is called Salt and Sanctuary. Salt and Sanctuary is like a Dark Souls style 2D game. Okay, you can play this game even co-op, which is awesome. If you're at all interested in that or have someone to play with, I highly recommend that. But playing it alone is super fun too. Okay, and you can pick your class, just like a Dark Souls style game. You can pick your class. You know, you defeat enemies, you gain experience and stuff, and then if you got to make it to kind of your campfire, if you will, and if you can make it there, then you get to use all that experience and buff your character and do all that. But if you don't, then you lose it and you got to get back there. You know, all that normal kind of Dark Souls formula is in there. Okay, but it's interesting that the aesthetic is really fascinating. I love the art style. It's kind of this dark and grimy, like your typical Dark Souls, but the 2D animations are like top notch. They're really, really good. They're really interesting and different. It's fun to play, and again, playing with a friend is super fun. So if someone else wants to get it, you guys can team up. It's awesome. Super fun. It's also local, so you can have two people together. You play with your spouse or kid or whoever. I don't know that I'd play with a kid, but you play whoever, you know. You play it, you have fun. It's really, really engaging and enjoyable. It's got an interesting story, the way it puts it all together. And bosses, the bosses are super fun. Man, they're different. You got to figure them out and play with it and get them done. Oh, man, it is a great time. Fighting those bosses might take you several tries, but they are so worth it. Super rewarding and really, really, really fun. Number 4 is kind of a group of games. I'm kind of cheating here, but whatever. It's back on the Square Enix sale, okay? And that is Final Fantasy. These are the old school ones. It's a 7, 8, and 9. These are great games. And on the Switch right now on the sale, I mean, it's like $8 for 7, $10 for 9, I think $10 for 8. I mean, they are awesome games, and at that cheap a price, you could buy all 3 of them for less than $30. And man, that's like 120 hours of game time. It is super fun. It's really engaging. You know, 7, if you haven't played them before, I highly recommend you do. And if you have played them before, then you know how good these are. And not only that they're good, but on the Switch, on being mobile, you can take them with you, which don't go anywhere. But you can walk throughout the house. You can play them on the John. You can play them wherever, and they're worth it, man. 7 is still good, even though the polygons are funny and the characters kind of got a silly, boxy look to them. It's so fun, right? The materia system in 7 and the battle and the story, it's iconic and it's great. 8 has the draw system, which some people didn't like when it first came out, but now that it's remastered, people seem to come along. The speed up mechanic really helps with that. So I highly recommend you engage with that. But it's a great story. It's really good, kind of coming of age, and it's got one of the best character arcs in any Final Fantasy I've ever played, and in Squall. And kind of the differing characters and the different way they react. It's really, really engaging, kind of charming story. It's super fun. Plus that last boss is one of the best. Okay, then you got 9. 9 is really interesting. It's got a different kind of combat system. Final Fantasy is good that way, right? How at each iteration of Final Fantasy, each kind of new title brings a new way to learn your magic and your skills. And in 9, you use your weapons. And the story is good. Characters are good. It's got another good love story. It's got one of the best loved characters in all of Final Fantasy in VV. This is a great game. All 3 of these make a really, really good addition to your library. If you don't already have them, I recommend you pick them up. Even if you're only going to get one for now. I mean, these are super cheap. They're dirt cheap. And you can get tons of hours out of them. So I highly recommend you pick those up. This is a game that it might seem weird to recommend right now since Animal Crossing just came out, but Stardew Valley. Okay, hear me out. Stardew Valley is like 15 bucks. It's a game like Animal Crossing that goes on forever. You can just continuously build and build up your town and your farm and your characters and everything else. There's so much to do every single day, and you can just keep going. Right, Animal Crossing kind of has this laid back, whereas feeling to it, right? You kind of lay back and relax and feel good and enjoy it. But Stardew Valley, it has that, but it also has a little more get up and go, right? You can also have some combat, which you don't get in Animal Crossing. It's got a little different art style, so depending on which ones you like, this might fit you better. But it's a great game. It's really engaging. They got so much there. It just keeps going. You can make this massive farm. You can, fight enemies. You can build things. Oh, so good with countless hours. And for 15 bucks to play this game, man, you will not regret it. It's so many hours worth of time there that you could get right now if you don't go to work for weeks and still enjoy it and play it. If you don't go to school, forget about it. You can just sit there all day. Don't tell your parents I said that. Next up, number 2. Now, this is a shorter game, and I've had a couple of those, but it's got some replayability, which lengthens it out a bit. Also, if you're a collector, there's a lot to do, and if you want 100% this game, you'll be playing it for a while. And that is Bastion. Okay, Supergiant Games is incredible. They are a great developer, and Bastion is top notch. This game has an incredible story. The combat is fun. The amount of weapons you get and the upgrades you can do to them, man, it's so fun. I every time I get a new weapon in this game, I'd want to change and I'd switch, and then I'd go, I like this one. Oh no, I like this one. Nope, I actually really like this one. They are all fun. Every last weapon in this game is enjoyable and fun to use, and the story as it progresses is fascinating and interesting, and the way it's delivered by kind of a narrator from the outside is different but really impactful. The ending of this game hit me way harder than I thought it was gonna. I was somewhat emotional just thinking of this story and what had happened and how this person was reacting. But man, it is so good. I cannot recommend enough that you play Bastion. Now, there are other Supergiant games. There's Transistor, there's Pyre. Good stuff. Every last one of them, play them all. But Bastion's still my favorite. Nothing has come close to it. It's an action-style RPG, okay? And you get a couple of different weapons. You have a dodge, you have a block, the standard stuff. But you're collecting things, you're putting things together. You can... One of the ways to 100% it, right, is you get these shrine type things, and as you use them, it's like a debuff. Makes it like one of them makes the enemies all come to you faster. So normally you have kind of your box where you get that close to an enemy, they start attacking you, and it makes all of them come faster. It's really an interesting dynamic to like in game make things harder but make your rewards better. It's really fun. It's a really, really, really good game, and I highly recommend you give it a try. I don't want to spill much of the story or anything because I don't want to spoil any of it. It is so good, you gotta try it.
Or even that shrine, in case the gods ain't dead. The Calamity gave us something else. A story. That may not sound like much. Well, wait till you hear it.
Last up is Valkyria Chronicles. Okay, Valkyria Chronicles is an anime style kind of World War II strategy RPG. And it's really different though. It's interesting because you move your characters, you set them up, and you're trying to take out your enemy. You're trying to be careful on where you set everyone up, making sure people don't die, making sure you can take out your enemy and get the hits. It's got elements of almost XCOM. It's got elements of maybe Final Fantasy Tactics. There's this old game that I cannot remember, so I'll probably edit this out. But maybe I won't, and I'll put it up in a picture. And that is this old game that you could do where you move guys in World War II. They became like werewolves and stuff. That was kind of weird. But whatever. It still kind of gives me that vibe. But it's really fun. There's different classes, and they all act different way. They all use different weapons. They have different abilities and stuff. You move through. The story is really interesting. And if you're like this game, you have Valkyria Chronicles 4, which kind of is a parallel game that goes alongside it in the same world, same time, just a different set of characters, and in a different area of the war. It's a great game, man. Valkyria Chronicles doesn't get a ton of love over here, and it really should. This is a high-level game. It's really interesting. The story is impactful. And again, you can get a good chunk of time out of this game for $20.
The tragedy will never stop. We have to believe in our goal and keep moving.
We will live to see Hoffen again.
We will. Together.
So there's a list of 10 really good RPGs that you can play on the cheap from the Nintendo Switch online without ever leaving your house. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe, and let me know down in the comments, are any of these games you're picking up, or maybe you got some other game that we should add to the list that I didn't think of. Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching.